Hello and welcome to Exploring the Tragedy of Antony by Robert Garnier and done into English by Mary Sidney, or Mary Herbert, the Countess of Pembroke. We're currently producing a full-cast audio production of this play, as chosen by our wonderful patrons. You can choose future work by joining us on patreon.com/Beyond Shakespeare. You also get all of these episodes early. This exploration is based on a series of one-to-one conversations with readers as we try to get to grips with this play. It's fair to say we get things wrong in a first read, and we dive down roads which we will not take, but also we find things that are really interesting. In this episode, we're looking at Act 3, Mark Antony and his mate Lucilius, followed by the final appearance of this particular chorus. Other choruses are available. This isn't a full exposition of the text. If you want a more considered look, come back in a few months for the spoilers episodes. First up, we look at Antony and Lucilius, with the actor playing Antony, Heydn McCabe, his first viewing of the text, and then, to confuse you, a look at the two parts again, myself reading Antony, and Irregular Alan Scott reading Lucilius. I myself am Robert Crighton still. You basically have two and a teeny bit scenes, effectively. Originally, wouldn't you just have two scenes?
Three.
So Act 3, this is...
Mark Antony, Lucilius.
And Lucilius. So this is...
What's going on here, kid?
You are... Well, basically, it's a continuation, and he's there to try and slap you into some sense.
Okay.
He's one of your trusted aides-de-camps who's been with you since... As far as your character is concerned, someone else has just come into the room. Yeah. Really, the bridge, the stuff that's happened in between, as far as you're concerned,
doesn't care.
There's none of that matters. This is basically that we've just whisked off to another part of Alexandria. We've now whisked back to you, and this is you contemplating your suicide. Basically, this is what this scene is. I'm Lucille.
Righto. Lucille, sole comfort of my bitter case. The only trust. The only hope I have in last despair. Is not this the day that death should me of life and love bereave? What wait I for that have no refuge left, but am sole remnant of my fortune left? All leave me, fly me, none. No, not of them. Hang on. All leave me, fly me. None. No, not of them. I got it. All leave me, fly me. None. No, not of them, which of my greatness, greatest good received, stands with my fall. They see me as now ashamed that hitherfore they did me aught regard. They draw them back, showing they followed me, not to partake my harms, but cozen me.
In this our world nothing is steadfast found, in vain he hopes, who here his hopes doth ground.
Yet naught afflicts me, nothing kills me so. As that I so my Cleopatra see, practice with Caesar, and to him transport my flame. Her love, more dear than life to me.
So the first part of your despair is like all the people around you have started backing away. Right. I'm the only person here, and then you're going, she's going to go off to Caesar. She's basically what my next line is. Believe it not, too high a heart she bears, too princely thoughts.
Too wise a head she wears, too much inflamed with greatness, evermore gaping. For our great empire's government. Hang on.
She wants more power, yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to get the scan.
Yeah.
Too wise a head she wears. Too wise a head she wears, too much yeah, I got it. Too wise a head she wears, too much inflamed with greatness, evermore gaping for our great empire's government.
So long time you her constant love have tried,
but still with me good fortune did abide.
Her changed love what token makes you know? How do you know she's changed her mind, mate? Come on.
Pelusium?
Yeah, I think Pelusium. We're not sure pronunciation, but it's just basically that was the land battle. The Actium was the sea battle.
Pelusium lost, and Actaeon overthrown, both by her fraud. My well-appointed fleet and trusty soldiers in my quarrel armed, whom she, false she, instead of my defence came to persuade, to yield them to my foe. Such honour tire done, such welcome given, their long close talks I neither knew nor would, and treacherous wrong Alexis hath me done. Witness too well her perjured love to me. But you, O gods, if any face regard, with sharp revenge her faithless change reward.
You could never trust an Alexa. You never know who's listening.
No.
We've got to be careful of Alexis.
Alexis, yes.
The dole she made upon our overthrow, her realm given up for refuge to our men, her poor attire when she devoutly kept the solemn day of her nativity, against the cost and prodigal expense, showed when she did your birthday celebrate, do plain enough her heart unfeigned prove, equally touched, you loving as you love.
Ah, well. Be her love to me or false or true, once in my soul a cureless wound I feel. I love, nay, burn in fire of her love. Each day, each night, her image haunts my mind, herself my dreams, and still I tired am, and still am with burning pincers nipped. Extreme my harm, yet sweeter to my sense than boiling torch of jealous torment's fire. This grief, nay, rage, in me such stir doth keep, and thorns me still, both when I wake and sleep. Take Caesar conquest, take my goods, take his honour to be lord of the earth alone. My sons, my life bent headlong to misshapes, no force, so not my Cleopatra take, so foolish I cannot her forget. Though better were I banished her, my thought, like to the sick, whose throat the fever's fire hath vehemently with thirst drought inflamed. Drinks steal, all be the drink he still desires, but nothing else but fuel to his flame. He cannot rule himself. His health's respect yieldeth to his distempered stomach's heat.
Leave of this love that thus renews your woe. She's not worth it, mate. She's not worth it.
I do my best, but cannot do so.
Think how you have so brave a captain been, and now are by this vain affection fallen.
The ceaseless thought of my felicity plunges me more in this adversity. For nothing so a man in ill torments as who to him his good state represents. This makes my wrack, my anguish, and my woe equal unto the hellish passions grow. Oh, when I to mind my happy puissance call, which erst I had by war like conquest won, and that good fortune which me never left, which hard disaster now hath me bereft. With terror trembled all the world I made at my sole word, as rushes in the streams and waters will. I conquered Italy, I conquered Rome. Oh, that nation so redoubt I bear. Meanwhile, besieging Mutina, 2 consul armies for my ruin brought, bathed in their blood, by their deaths witnessing my force and skill in matters martial. To wreck thy uncle, unkind Caesar, I with blood of enemies the banks embrued of stained Enipeus, hindered his course, stopped with heaps of piled carcasses. When Cassius and Brutus ill betide marched against us, by us twice put to fight, by us twice put to flight, but by my sole conduct, for all the time Caesar heartsick with fear and fever lay. Who knows it not? And how by every one fame of the fact was given to me alone. There sprang the love, the never-changing love, wherein my heart hath since to yours been bound. There was it, my Lucille, your Brutus saved, and for your Brutus Antony you found. Better my happy's gain in such a friend, than in subduing such an enemy. Now former virtue, dead, doth me forsake. Fortune engulfs me in extreme distress. She turns from me her smiling countenance, casting on me mishap upon mishap. Left and betrayed by thousand friends. One of my suit, but you, Lucille, are left, remaining to me steadfast as a tower in holy love, in spite of fortune's blasts. But if of any god my voice be heard, and be not vainly scattered in the heavens, such goodness shall not gloryless be lost, but coming ages still thereof shall boast.
Many in their friendship ever should be won, and never aught with fickle fortune shake, which still removes nor will nor knows the way, her rolling bowl in one sure state to stay, wherefore we ought as borrowed things receive, the goods light she lends us to pay again. Not hold them sure, nor on them build our hopes, as on such goods as cannot fail and fall, but think again, nothing is durable, virtue except our never-failing host. So bearing sail when favouring winds do blow, as frowning tempests may us least dismay, when they on us do fall, not over glad with good estate, nor over grieved with bad, resist mishap.
Alas, it is too strong. Mishaps oft times are by some comfort borne, but these, me, whose weights oppress my heart, too heavy lie, no hope can them relieve. There rests no more, but that with cruel blade for lingering death a hasty way be made.
Caesar, as heir unto his father's state, so will your father's goodness imitate. To you would, whom he knows allied in blood, allied in marriage, ruling equally the empire with him, and with him making war, have purged the earth of Caesar's murderers. You, into portions parted, have the world, even like co-heirs their heritages part, and now with one accord so many years in quiet peace, both have your charges ruled.
Blood and alliance nothing do befail, so will his to cool the thirst of hot ambitious breasts. The son his father hardly can endure, brother his brother, in one common realm, so fervent this desire to command. Such jealousy it kindleth in our hearts. Sooner will men permit another should love her they love. Sooner will men permit another should love her they love.
Yeah, so that sort of runs on, doesn't it?
Sooner will men permit another should love her they love. Then where sooner will men permit another should love her they love. Then wear the crown they wear. All laws it breaks, turns all things upside down. Amity, kindred, naught so holy is, but it defiles. A monarchy to gain, none cares which way, so he may it but obtain.
Suppose he monarch be, and that this world no more acknowledge sundry emperors than Rome him only fear, and that he join the east with west, and both at once do rule. Why should he not permit you, peaceably discharged of charge and empire's dignity, private to live, reading philosophy and learned Greece, Spain, Asia, any land.
Never will he his empire think assured, while in this world Mark Antony shall live. Sleepless suspicion, pale distrust, cold fear, always to prince's company to bear, bread of reports. Always to prince's company to bear, bread of reports. Reports which night and day perpetual guests from court go not array.
He hath not slain your brother Lucilius, nor shortened hath the age of Lepidus, albeit both into his hands were fallen, and he with wrath against them both inflamed, yet one, as lord, in quiet rest doth bear the greatest sway in gentle Iberia. The other with his gentle prince retains of highest priest the sacred dignity.
He fears not them. Their feeble force he knows.
He fears no vanquished, overfilled with woes.
Fortune may change again.
A downcast foe can hardly rise, which once is brought so low.
All that I can is done. For last essay, when all means failed, I to entreaty fell. Coward creature. Whence again repulsed of combat, I unto him proffer made. Though he in prime, and I by feeble age, mightily weakened both in force and skill, yet could not he his coward heart advance, basely afraid to try so praiseful chance. This makes me plain, makes me myself accuse. Fortune in this her spiteful force doth use against my grey hairs. In this unhappy I repine at heavens in my haps pitiless. A man, a woman, both in might and mind, in Mars his school who never lessons learned, should me repulse, chase, overthrow, destroy, me of such fame, bring to so low an ebb? Alcides' blood, whom from my infancy with happy prowess crowned have my praise, witness thou Gaul unused to servile yoke. Thou valiant Spain, you fills of Thessaly, with millions of mourning cries bewailed, twice watered now with blood of Italy.
Witness may Afric, and of conquered world all four quarters witness may be, for in what part of earth inhabited hungry praise have you not ensigns spread?
Thou know'st rich Egypt, Egypt of my deeds fair and foul subject. Egypt, thou know'st how I behaved me fighting for thy king, which I regained him his rebellious realm, against his foes in battle showing force, and after fight in victory remorse. Yet if to bring my glory to the ground, fortune had made me overthrow by one of greater force or better skill than I. One of those captains feared so of old, Camille, Marcellus, worthy Scipio, this late great Caesar, honour of our state, or that great Pompey, aged, grown in arms. Thou after harvest of a wealth of men made in 100 battles, fights, assaults, my body,
Through pierced with push, so
through. It's
through.
Right.
Yeah, so it's through.
My body, through pierced with push of pike, had vomited my blood. In blood my life, in midst of millions, fellow in my fall. The less her wrong, the less should my woe. Nor should she pain, nor I complain me so. No, whereas I should have died in arms and vanquished oft new enemies, should have armed new battles, given and rather lost with me all this whole world submitted unto me. A man who never saw enlaced pikes with bristled points against his stomach bent, who fears the field and hides him cowardly dead at the very noise the soldiers make. His virtue, fraud, deceit, malicious guile. His virtue, fraud, deceit, malicious guile. His arms, the arts that false Ulysses used, known at Modena, where the consuls both death wounded were, and wounded by his men to get their army, war with it, to make it against his faith, against his country soil. Of Lepidus, which to his succours came, to honour whom he was by duty bound. The empire he usurped, corrupting first with baits and bribes the most part of his men, yet me hath overcome, and made his prey, and state of Rome with me hath overcome. Strange. One discorded act at Actium, the earth subdued my glory had obscured. For since as one whom heaven at wrath attains, with fury caught and more than furious vexed with my evils, I never more had care. I never more had care my armies lost, or lost renamed to repair. I did not more resist.
All war's affairs, but battles most daily have their success. Now good, now ill, and though that fortune have great force and power in every worldly thing, rule all, do all, have all things fast enchained into the circle of her turning wheel, yet seems it more than any practice else she doth frequent Bellona's bloody trade, and that her favour, wavering as the wind, her greatest power therein dost oftenest show, whence grows. We daily see who in their youth get honour there, do lose it at their age, vanquished by some less warlike than themselves, whom yet a meaner man shall overthrow. Her use is not to lend us still her hand, but sometimes headlong back again to throw, when by her favour she hath us extolled unto the top of highest happiness.
Well ought I curse within my grieved soul, lamenting day and night, this senseless love, whereby my fair enticing foe entrapped my headless reason, could no more escape. Oh, it was not fortune's ever-changing face, it was not destiny's changeless violence forged my mishap. Alas, who doth not know they make, nor mar, nor anything can do, for things which men so fear?
Oh, that should be fortune.
Oh, well, I've got 4 things.
Yeah, there's several little errors I've noticed. That's fortune, though.
Oh, right. Fortune which men so fear, adore, detest, is him to chance whose cause unknown doth rest, although oft times the cause is well perceived, but not the effect, the same that was conceived. Pleasure, naught else, the plague of this our life which still 1,000 plagues pursue, alone hath me this strange disaster spun, fallen from a soldier to a chamberer, careless of virtue, careless of all praise. Nay, as the fatted swine in filthy mire, with glutted heart I wallowed in delights, all thoughts of honour trodden underfoot. So I me lost, for finding this sweet cup pleasing my taste, unwise I drank my fill, and though the sweetness of that poison's power by steps I drew my former wits astray, I made my friends, offended me forsake, hoped, or helped?
Helped.
Okay. I helped my foes against myself to rise. I robbed my subjects, and for followers I saw myself beset with flatterers. Oh, mine idle arms, fair wrought with spiders' work, my scattered men without the ensign strayed. Caesar meanwhile, who never would have dared to cope with me suddenly despised, took heart to fight, and hoped for victory. On one so gone, who glory had foregone.
And because we're short of time, I'm just going to skip to the last line of my speech. The hurtful works of pleasures here behold.
The wolf is not so hurtful to the fold, frost to the grapes, to ripen fruits the rain, as pleasure is to princes full of pain.
Now, accidentally, we've skipped 2 lines in the script, so you're going to have to read from mine. There needs no proof, but by the Assyrian king, on whom that monster woeful wrack did bring.
There needs no proof, but by unhappy I, who lost my empire, honour life thereby.
I have another long speech, and then you have your final little orations. So, more and more increased day by day, scorned his weak heart, become a mistress play.
In only this, like Heracles am I. In this I prove me of his lineage right. In this himself, his deeds I show in this. In this, naught else, my ancestor he is. But go we, die I must, and with brave end conclusion make of all foregoing harms. Die I must. I must a noble death, a glorious death unto my succour call. I must deface the shame of time abused. I must adorn the wanton loves I used with some courageous act, that my last day by mine own hand my spots may wash away. Come, dear Lucille. Oh, alas, why weep you thus? This mortal lot is common to us all. We must all die. Each doth in homage owe unto that God that shared the realms below. Oh, sigh no more. Alas, appease your woes, for by your grief my grief more eager grows.
And that's the primary role over. There is a messenger who turns up later on who says...
quickly,
well, it's not really properly formatted, so I can't really show you. But basically, during a messenger comes on in the next act and says, Mark Antony killed himself, and there's a few lines of dialogue that he reports, but we will record
We'll kill it as me doing it.
So that was Heydn McCabe grappling Antony. Now I have another look at this scene with Alan Scott reading Lucilius.
We are looking at Act 3 of the Tragedy of Antony with Marcus Antonius and Lucilius. And we're just going to be reading through this to get a sense of the play for the future lucky people who will actually be recording this with me later in the year. Potentially in a few weeks' time, some of them. So this is sort of hopefully useful for them because they can listen to this and get a sense, and I also get a better sense. Even though technically I've done this play before.
Have you?
Yeah. We did a reading of it at the Keep years and years ago. I don't like to think. I have a terrible, truly unusable recording. So this is actually quite a long scene. It is not including the chorus. It's better part of 400 lines. So that's not short. So this might be all we actually get through to today, but we'll see. Okay, I am reading Antonius. You are reading Lucilius.
All right.
or Lucille. Lucille. Sole comfort of my bitter case, the only trust, the only hope I have in last despair. Ah, is not this the day that death should me of life and love bereave? What wait I for that have no refuge left, but am sole remnant of my fortune left? All leave me, fly me, none know not of them which of my greatness greatest good received stands with my fall. They seem as now ashamed that heretofore they did me aught regard. They draw them back, showing they followed me not to partake my harms, but cozen me.
In this our world nothing is steadfast found. In vain he hopes, who here his hopes doth ground.
I'm just going to pause us there. So Mark Antony, obviously happy chap.
Yeah.
Certain amount of, because this is post Actium, I'm assuming.
Yes, I think it is.
It's pre-suicide attempt. We don't actually see that. Trigger warning for anyone listening. Your first two lines are sort of, we are you trying to go? I think it's too early to actually give this a motivation, but it's sort of a non-thing. It's like you're trying to get a word in edgeways, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost along the lines of, yes, boss, I agree with you, and I'm going to put it in different words.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume that Lucilius is, Lucilius is servant.
No, Lucilius. There's an I in
Yeah,
there.
sorry.
He is
Servant or an inferior, anyway.
I assume one of his supporting generals or people. I assume. Let's see what the. This is where deliberately not doing any research is helpful. Why can I not find Lucilius? No note on him at all. No note as to who the hell he
clue.
is. No, I'm sure in the histories there is a clear. He is a named person. In fact, we could probably look elsewhere. But anyway, yes. So I'm assuming he's one of his generals under him, kind of thing. I'm assuming he's not a servant, but maybe he is. Maybe he is his boy slave who's there. That's quite important for me in terms of casting to know.
Or could be his aide de camp. Or...
Yeah, is he an older man or a younger man? That's quite an important question I need to answer. Anyway, we will move on, because there wasn't actually really anything to talk about there. Yet naught afflicts me, nothing kills me so, as that I so my Cleopatra see, practised with Caesar, and to him transport my flame, her love more dear than life to me.
Believe it not, too high a heart she bears, too princely thoughts.
Too wise a head she wears, too much inflamed with greatness, evermore gaping for our great empire's government.
So long time you her constant love have tried.
But still with me good fortune did abide.
Her changed love, what token makes you know?
So, obviously, Antony thinks she's turned tail to go to the other side. And you're going, nah, mate, she's good, she's with you. And you ask for proof, which Antony is now going to attempt to give you. Pelusium and Actium overthrown both by her fraud, my well-appointed fleet and trusty soldiers in my quarrel armed, whom false she, instead of my defence, came to persuade to yield them to my foe. Such honour
Tyre?
Could be Tyre, couldn't it? I'll put the H in. Such honour Thryre done, such welcome given, their long close talks I neither knew nor would, and treacherous wrong Alexis hath me done, witness too well her perjured love to me, but you, O gods, if any faith regard, with sharp revenge her faithless change reward. I think I'm just going to pause there. Thyrsus was appointed by Octavius to negotiate personally with Cleopatra. So that's a person, not Tyre. And then we've got...
So what's the name given us the note?
It's Thyrsus.
Thyrsus.
YR, and then it's an SUS. I mean, I assume it would always be pronounced, but it's an interesting note that that's a person, not a place. And again, so it's all about people plotting.
Yeah, I mean that might. I think actually using the name with the sus might actually make it scan slightly better as well.
Yeah, but it's the kind of line which I would probably direct to sort of rattle through fairly quickly. I think it's the kind of thing. It's just simply he feels paranoid. And that's the important note.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is Antony is obviously, he's
the person Antony flogs. Oh, and sent back to Caesar. Ah, I know who he is now. Didn't recognise the name. I remember this incident. Yes. Anyway, we shall go forward. So I've laid out my paranoid fears.
Right.
Assuage me, or whatever you plan to do.
The dole she made upon our overthrow, her realm given up for refuge to our men, her poor attire when she devoutly kept the solemn day of her nativity, again the cost and prodigal expense.
It is against. Have you only got again?
Yeah.
It should be against.
Against the cost and prodigal expense, showed when she did your birthday celebrate, do plain enough her heart unfeigned prove, equally touched, you loving as you love.
Well, be her love to me or false or true, once in my soul a cureless wound I feel. I love may burn in fire of her love, each day, each night her image haunts my mind, herself my dreams. And still I tired am, and still I am with burning pincers nipped. Extreme my harm, yet sweeter to my sense than boiling torch of jealous torment's fire. This grief, nay, rage in me doth such stir doth keep, and thorns me still both when I wake and sleep. Take, Caesar, conquest, take my goods, take heed, the honoured to be lord of the earth alone, my son's life, bent headlong to the haps, no force, so not my Cleopatra take. Take everything except her. So foolish I cannot her forget, though better were I banished her my thought. Like to the sick, whose throat the fever's fire hath vehemently with thirsty drought inflamed, drink still, all be the drink he still desires, be nothing else but fuel to his flame. He cannot rule himself, his health's respect yieldeth to this distempered stomach's heat.
Leave of this love, that thus renews your woe.
I do my best, but I cannot do so.
Think how you have so brave a captain been, and now are by this vain affection fallen.
And again, we're getting that whole thing of, the stoic man kind of thing, isn't it? Coming through here, be a
Man
man
up.
Yeah.
Man up.
In that sort of toxic masculinity kind of way, and Antony seems to be he's completely lost it. I mean, I was deliberately trying to force the pace beyond the speed my tongue can quite currently get to, because it feels like he's just running away, and Lucilius is just calm down because it feels like it's gendered in that sort of way, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it is. It's stream of consciousness before.
Yeah, and so I will rattle through. I feel this is probably what's going to happen with the next speech. I think your purpose here is to ground the scene, whereas I just go.
It's trying to drag him back to reality.
Yeah. The ceaseless thought of my felicity plunges me more in this adversity, for nothing so a man in ill torments as who to him his good state represents. This makes my rack, my anguish, and my woe equal unto the hellish passions grow, when I to my mind my happy puissance call, which erst I had by warlike conquest won, and that good fortune which me never left, which hard disaster now hath me bereft. With terror tremble all the world, I made at my soul word, as rushes in the streams and waters will. I conquered Italy, I conquered Rome, that nations so redoubt I bore, meanwhile besieging Mutina, I think probably
sounds better.
I bore, meanwhile besieging Mutina. to consuls' armies for my ruin brought, bathed in their blood, by their deaths witnessing my force and skill in matters martial. I used to be really good at fighting. To wreck my uncle, unkind Caesar, I, with blood of enemies the banks imbrued, of stained Enipeus, of stained...
A river, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know where to put the stresses on that at all. Of stained Enipeus, hindered his course, stopped with heaps of piled carcasses, when Cassius and Brutus, ill betide, marched against us, by us twice put to flight, but by my sole conduct, for all the time Caesar heart-sick with fear and fever lay. Who knows it not? And how by everyone fame of the fact was given to me alone. There sprang the love, the never-changing love, wherein my heart hath since to yours been bound. But there was it, my Lucille, you Brutus saved, and for your Brutus Antony you found. Better my hap in gaining such an enemy than in subduing such an enemy. Did I say enemy twice?
No.
No? Okay. Now former virtue dead doth me forsake. Fortune engulfs me in extreme distress. She turns from me her smiling countenance, casting on me mishap upon mishap, left and betrayed of thousand friends once of my suit. But you, Lucille, are left remaining to me, steadfast as a tower in holy love, in spite of fortune's blasts. You're a great bloke. You're still with me. But if of any god my voice be heard, and be not vainly scattered in the heavens, such goodness shall not gloryless be lost, but coming ages still thereof shall boast.
Men in their friendship ever should be one, and never aught with fickle fortune shake, which still removes, nor will, nor knows the way, her rolling bowl in one sure state to stay. Wherefore we ought as borrowed things receive, the goods light she lends us to pay again, not hold them sure, nor on them build our hopes, as on such goods as cannot fail and fall. But think again, nothing is durable. Virtue accept, our never-failing host, so bearing fail when favouring winds do blow.
Should be sail. Bearing sail? Have you got fail in yours?
Fail is what you
My
put.
bad, I have not
converted
that F.
Yeah. There's no answer to that.
Go
so,
from so, yeah, so.
So bearing sail when favouring winds do blow, as frowning tempests may us least dismay, when they on us do fall, not overgrieved with bad, resist mishap.
So that's all about fortune, isn't it?
Yes, and I think it's now becoming clearer the relationship that Lucilius is a trusted adjutant.
Yes, he's
effectively.
Yes, because he. Yeah, so there is a bond, and there's a reason why I'm telling you all this. It's not like this necessarily is something I'm sharing with everybody, though to be fair, I probably am. And your advice, I mean, it's sort of deliberately a bit flat, isn't it?
The way I'm seeing it
is he's trying to bring it down.
As you said, Antony is gabbling. You know, he's taking it at absolutely breakneck pace. I see the way that Lucilius works is to actually slow the pace down. It is trying to calm him down, to bring him back to some sort of grounding.
Yes, because it is much
more.
more.
And if in the process he's sounding boring, well, I think actually that's probably part of it.
Yes, and I mean, it's not a long speech, and Lucilius does have some longish speeches, but Antonius has
longer.
More.
Yes.
And longer. I mean, you do get one. No, it's not. It goes into it.
No, I mean,
but that's the natural logic of the scene. But yeah, so you're talking about fortune, and the only thing that's durable, nothing is durable except virtue. Virtue except our never failing host. So be good. Stop falling to this sin of
and if you can't
pride
be good,
and
be
despair.
careful.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's that final those 2 words that spread into my next line. Resist mishap, and I just follow the thought on. Alas, he is too strong. Mishaps oft times are by some comfort borne, but these are me whose weights oppress my heart too heavy lie, no hope can them relieve. There rests no more, but that with cruel blade for lingering death a hasty way be made. And we're into the suicide, people.
Caesar, as heir unto his father's state, so will his father's goodness imitate. To you, ward, whom he knows allied in blood, allied in marriage, ruling equally the empire with him, and with him making war, have purged the earth of Caesar's murderers. You into portions parted have the world, even like co-heirs their heritages part, and now with one accord so many years, in quiet peace both have your charges ruled.
So it's not that bad, we can still turn this around. I think that's what you're saying. It's of course bollocks.
Well, quite.
I mean, Antony is clearly marked for death, whatever happens here. So, he either wins or he dies. So, you're trying to talk him around from suicide.
The rules of politics, which haven't changed in millennia.
Absolutely. I mean, he's made his choice, and now it's either suicide or victory, and I think the victory is past. Blood and alliance nothing do prevail to cool the thirst of hot ambitious breasts. The son his father hardly can endure, brother his brother in one common realm. He's not got a very cheerful idea of what filial duty is, does he?
Yeah.
So you've made this argument. Caesar, you did such great things together, and going, it means nothing. It means nothing when it comes to power. So fervent this desire to command, such jealousy it kindleth in our hearts. Sooner will men permit another should love her they love than wear the crown they wear. All laws it breaks, turns all things upside down. Amity, kindred, naught so holy is, but it defiles a monarchy to gain. None cares which way, so he may it obtain.
Suppose he monarch be, and that this world no more acknowledge sundry emperors, that Rome him only fear, and that he join the east with west, and both at once do rule, why should he not permit you peaceably, discharged of charge and empire's dignity, private to live for reading philosophy, in learned Greece, Spain, Asia, any land?
God, you're a simple soul, aren't you?
I think he's a straightforward soldier. He's not a politician.
Oh yeah, but I kind of think a soldier wouldn't be that innocent either.
I don't. Lions led by donkeys.
Yeah, no, I don't. I feel like he's. Is he lying, or is he just naive? Interesting. It's I just don't see anyone being that naive. You'll be allowed to be a private citizen, like that has ever happened.
Well, I'm thinking of who was the philosopher who Julius Caesar effectively had the major clashes with.
Was that Cicero?
Yes. Who again expressed similar sorts of views, and Cicero
was lead an armed revolt.
no, but he was pretty well accused, all but.
Yeah. Don't recall him coming to a good end, though.
No, he didn't.
No, that's not winning the the country point. Anyway, never will he his empire think assured, while in this world Mark Antony shall live. Sleepless suspicion, pale distrust, cold fear, always to prince's company to bear. Bred of reports which night and day perpetual guests from court go not away.
He hath not slain your brother Lucilius, nor shortened hath the age of Lepidus, albeit both into his hands were fallen, and he with wrath against them both inflamed. Yet one, as lord, in quiet rest doth bear the greater sway in great Iberia. The other with his gentle prince retains of highest priest the sacred dignity.
He fears not them, their feeble force he knows. He's already clipped their wings.
He fears no vanquished, overfilled with woes.
Fortune may change again.
A downcast foe can hardly rise, which once is brought so low.
All that I can is done, for last assay, when all means failed, I to entreaty fell. O coward creature, whence again repulsed of combat I unto him proffer made, though he in prime and I by feeble age mightily weakened both in force and skill. It could not he his coward heart advance, basely afraid to try so praiseful chance. This makes me plain, makes me myself accuse. Fortune in this her spiteful force doth use, 'gainst my grey hairs in this unhappy eye, repine at heavens in my haps pitiless. A man, a woman, both in might and mind, in Mars his school, who never lesson learned, should me repulse, chase, overthrow, destroy, me, of such fame being to so low an ebb. Alcides' blood, who from my infancy with happy prowess crowned, have my praise. Witness thou, Gaul unused to servile yoke, thou valiant Spain, you fields of Thessaly, with millions of mourning cries bewailed, twice watered now with blood of Italy.
Witness may a freak, and of conquered world, all four quarters witness may be, for in what part of earth inhabited, hungrier praise have you not ensigns spread?
Thou knowest, rich Egypt, Egypt of my dreams, fair and foul subject, Egypt, thou knowest how I behaved, me fighting for thy king, when I regained him his rebellious realm, against his foes in battle showing force, and after fight in victory remorse. Yet if to bring my glory to the ground, fortune had made me overthrown by one of greater force or greater skill than I, one of those captains feared so of old, Camille, Marcellus, worthy Scipio, this late great Caesar, honour of our state, or that great Pompey, aged, grown in arms, that after harvest of a world of men, made in 100 battles, fights, assaults, my body through pierced with push of pike, had vomited my blood, in blood my life, in midst of millions, fellows in my fall. The less her wrong, the less should be my woe, nor she should pain, nor I complain me so. No, whereas I should have died in arms, and vanquished off new armies should have armed, new battles given, and rather lost with me, all this whole world submitted unto me, a man who never saw in laced pikes with bristled points against his stomach bent, who fears the field, and hides him cowardly, dead at every noise that soldiers make. His virtue, fraud, deceit, malicious guile, his arms, the arts that false Ulysses used, known at Modena, Modena? Yeah, known at Modena, where the consuls both death-wounded were, and wounded by his men to get their army, war with it to make against his faith, against his country's soil, of Lepidus, which to his succour came, to honour whom he was by duty bound, the empire he usurped, corrupting first, with baits and bribes, the most part of his men, yet me hath overcome, and made his prey, and state of Rome with me hath overcome. Strange! One disordered act at Actium the earth subdued, my glory hath obscured, for since, as one whom heaven's wrath attaints with fury caught, and more than furious vexed with my evils, I never more had care, my armies lost, or lost my name to repair, I did no more resist.
And pause.
Yes,
On the
huge amounts to unpack from that massive speech.
On the first line,
Yes.
what's the last word you got in the first line?
Deeds.
All right, because you didn't say deeds.
Did I not say deed?
No,
I'm
no.
sure I've cocked up in many
I
places.
think dreams was what you said.
Oh, right.
But
Egypt of my deeds. Yes, it does sound like something I'd say wrong. That's good to know. It's I mean, it's really interesting how he spits scorn at Caesar as being an unfighty man.
Yes.
Doing everything by politics. He's afraid of the field. So again, this concept of being a very manly man and what is, what that means. And somehow Caesar is an unmanly person. I don't know if he actually uses that word a lot. I'm possibly projecting. Modern discourse on it slightly. Antony talking a bit about how, wouldn't it have been better if he died in battle rather than this sort of rather pitiful end. It's not the kind of end he envisaged. Again, massive speech. It sort of worked, though. I didn't feel like it was dragging.
No,
I was over forcing the pace because we're not really supposed to be looking at Mark Antony.
no, but
I think I had to do that to get the sense.
I think the thing is that it is this torrent of words.
Yeah.
And I think that in some ways is actually showing the mental stress that he's in, because effectively.
Yes, it's all obsessive detail and slights against him. I mean, that sense of betrayal to some degree, even though technically I suppose Antony is the betrayer of things.
Well,
I mean, I'm not sure who moved first. They all manoeuvred again. I mean, nobody's an innocent here.
Trying to work out which of that family did the dirty on the other is.
They were all manoeuvring.
That has been preoccupying historians for an awful long time.
Yeah,
and,
but it's this thing of nobility, and I always find these noble people speeches really annoying because I just don't. It's when people are talking about themselves in that way, and other people are talking about how heroic and noble they are, and you're just sort of thinking, yeah, but you're also just a bit of an arse.
Well, the difference is at least they're not wearing an old Etonian tie.
Yeah, well, separate issue. Okay, let us move towards.
Lucilius is
I'm
now.
afraid I have a massive speech coming up again.
Yeah, Lucilius has got a couple of
decent
sized
decent
bits.
chunky bits. Let's look at this first one.
Yeah.
I'll give you the half line in. I did no more resist.
All wars affairs, but battles most daily have their success. No good, no ill, and though that fortune have great force and power in every worldly thing, rule all, do all, have all things fast enchained unto the circle of a turning wheel. Yet seems it more than any practice else. She doth frequent Bellona's bloody trade, and that her favour, wavering as the wind, her greatest power therein doth often show. Whence grows we daily see, who in their youth got honour there, do lose it in their age, vanquished by some less warlike than themselves, whom yet a meaner man shall overthrow. Her use is not to lend us still her hand, but sometimes headlong back again to throw, whereby her favour she hath us extolled unto the top of highest happiness.
Build high for happiness. Do you have second line up? When or where? Whereby her favour?
Whereby.
Yeah, change that to when. I've got when here, or at least make a note. And also about third way up, got honour. Change that to get honour. I mean, again, you're just arguing the same thing you've already been arguing. You're just talking about fortune again.
Yeah. Yes. I mean,
it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked so far. So why are you sticking with it?
He's a bit of a one-track pony. This one.
He is. But it's also he's feed for Mark Antony to go on to his next bit. It's a feed line, really, isn't it?
I mean, I think to a certain extent the structure is such that Lucilius is there to give Antony a chance to get his breath back.
Yes, get his breath back, but also so that Mark Antony's not just doing another big, massive speech of lament, which he's sort of open the play with, to make the scene a bit more dynamic and seem like it's a back and forth, even though to some degree it's not. Get a handle on the dialogue. It's a one-man show. It's a monologue. I have had a thought that I could do a conflation of characters because I could make it. I've seen nothing so far that will contradict this. It sort of makes a certain logic to make this the same person as Dercetus the messenger later on, reporting Antony's death.
Yes, that would actually be logical,
Yeah.
because it's
I'm
an
always
associate-
slightly looking for that kind of conflation of part.
It's an associate of
Antony. He should be in the room.
reporting to
Yeah.
Caesar.
I think that might
Just work.
be what we've looked at the messenger already. I will just double check that the messenger doesn't mention himself. But I think that might be a way of doubling that, because I want to keep the cast size down.
Tight.
I always want to do that with anything, especially for audio, because more characters you have, the more people you need to remember, and you've got fewer signifiers to remind you who people are.
Yeah.
So it's quite useful to be able to do that. I'm thinking of doing similar with characters in Cleopatra's court as well, slightly limiting, because there's one random person who just makes a random speech. I don't like people making one random speech in a play, and it's a real weird neoclassical thing that keeps coming up. Exposition monkeys, they're annoying, and that's what the messenger later on. He's a very good exposition monkey, but he's there to deliver us some exposition, and he personally has no function outside of that. Anyway, well ought I curse within my grieved soul, lamenting day and night this senseless love, whereby my fair enticing foe entrapped, my heedless reason could no more escape. It was not fortune's ever-changing face. Yeah, I'm not buying this fortune at all. I'm turning on you a bit now. It was not fortune's ever-changing face. It was not destiny's changeless violence forged my mishap. Alas, who doth not know they make, they mar, nor anything can do? Fortune, which men so fear, adore, detest, is but a chance, whose cause unknown doth rest. Although oft times the cause is well perceived, but not the effect the same that was conceived. Pleasure, naught else, the plague of this our life, which still 1,000 plagues pursue, alone hath me this strange disaster spun, fallen from a soldier to a chamberer, careless of virtue, careless of all praise. Nay, as the fatted swine in filthy mire, with glutted heart I wallowed in delights, all thought of honour trodden under foot. So I, me, lost, for finding this sweet cup pleasing my taste, unwise I drunk my fill, and through the sweetness of that poison's power, by steps I drove my former wits astray. I made my friends offended me forsake. I helped my foes against myself to rise. I robbed my subject. Maybe the stress should be on the I. I made my friends offended me forsake. I helped my foes against myself to rise. I robbed my subject, and for followers I saw myself beset with flatterers. Mine idle arms fair wrought with spiders' work. My scattered men without their ensides strayed. Caesar, meanwhile, who never would have dared to cope with me suddenly despised, took heart to fight, and hoped for victory on one so gone who glory had foregone.
So, and again...
So yes, it's not fortune, it's me. It's all me.
Yeah.
Woe is me.
Yes.
And now you get your, I think, one of your longest speeches, or second longest?
Yes, and it seems he's changing his tone very slightly.
It feels like you've just. Are you even talking to me? Let's see where it goes.
I think this is it's almost
calling on the gods to just
musing,
wake him up.
Musing self. Enchanting pleasure, Venus' sweet delights, weaken our bodies, overcloud our sprites, trouble our reason, from our hearts outchase, all holy virtues lodging in their place. Like as the cunning fisher takes the fish, by traitor bait whereby the hook is hid, so pleasure serves to vice instead of food, to bait our souls thereon to licorice. This poison deadly is alike to all. But on great kings doth greatest outrage work. taking the royal sceptres from their hands, thenceforward to be by some stranger borne, while that their people, charged with heavy loads, their flatterers pill, and suck their Mary dry, not ruled but left to great men as a prey. While this fond prince himself in pleasure drowns, who hears naught, sees naught, doth naught of a king, seeming himself against himself conspired, then equal justice wandereth banished, and in her seat sits greedy tyranny. Confused disorder troubleth all estates, crimes without fear and outrages are done. Then mutinous rebellion shows her face, now hid with this, and now with that pretence, provoking enemies, which on each side enter at ease, and make them lords of all. The hurtful works of pleasure here behold.
The wolf is not so harmful to the fold, frost to the grapes to ripen, fruits the rain, as pleasure is to princes full of pain. So I'm just going to pause us there. I wanted to do that next line to see if it had any connection with what you were saying.
No, I think they're in separate universes at this stage.
Lucilius seems to be actively talking to the audience / the gods about this person over here. He's talking about... So it's almost like you're in a spotlight and Mark Antony's down there just...
Yeah.
It's almost actually you could be saying that over some of what Mark Antony's
There's a
saying.
line that I found difficult here, and about halfway down, their flatterers pill...
And suck their Mary dry. Yes, it's weird. It's weird. I've got 2 footnotes in this edition on that, which I'm going to look at. And I remember looking this up, and I remember going, So that's a very good note. Have you also just 2 lines down? Have you got pleasure or pleasures, Drowns?
Pleasures.
Oh, good. That's right. Their flatterers rob.
As in pillage.
Pillage. Ah, good. Make a note, please. And suck their marrow.
That makes much more sense.
That makes sense now, as opposed to just saying it correctly and hoping nobody notices that I don't know what it means.
Bring on a rap.
Yeah, and I think I'd probably change that to marrow. I think suck the marry. It's that's not gonna. I think pillage, the pill, that could be got their flatterers pill might get across, but. I mean, that might be one where we fudge with the dialogue to make that work.
I would have thought their flatterers pill and suck their marrow dry.
Yeah,
works.
I mean, I might just expand it. You know, their flatterers pillage and suck their marrow dry, and just let the line not scan in its original sense, because otherwise, I don't know if anyone has a chance. I genuinely don't know.
I mean, I think you're possibly assuming there that someone is going to be highly analytical about every line.
True.
Whereas what we're guessing is, up to this point, Lucilius has been, I think, trying to ground Mark Antony, and then he just goes off on one
about the things that have driven him mad. I think that's what he's broadly about. Venus is what's done this to him.
Yeah, I mean, which I mean, face it, is a
Venus via Cleopatra
is a fairly standard trope.
Yes, it is, and it really plays to.
It's all Eve's fault.
Yeah, it's playing to that idea that Cleopatra is some sort of wanton temptress who has brought down this great man through sex, which is bollocks. If they'd won, we wouldn't be having this argument. So anyway. I'll give you my lines in.
Yeah, sure.
But it feels like these are now
disconnected speeches.
Well, I don't know. I think you're going to talk to him again. So I don't quite know where this all starts fitting together. Can you actually go back? Can you do their mutinous rebellion? The very end of the last 6 lines of your previous.
Then
speech.
Mutinous rebellion shows her face. Now hid with this, and now with that pretence, provoking enemies which on each side enter at ease, and make them lords of all. The hurtful works of pleasure here behold.
The wolf is not so hurtful to the fold, frost to the grapes, to ripen fruits the rain, as pleasure is to princes full of pain.
There needs no proof, but by the Syrian king, on whom that monster woeful wrack did bring.
There needs no proof, but by unhappy I, who lost my empire, honour, life thereby.
Yet hath this ill so much the greater force, as scarcely any do against it stand. No, not the demigods the old world knew, who all subdued could pleasure's power subdue. Great Hercules, Hercules once that was, wonder of earth and heaven, matchless in might, whom Antaeus, Lycus, Geryon overcame, who drew from hell the triple-headed dog, whom Hydra killed, vanquished Achilleus, whom heaven's weight on his strong shoulders bear, did he not captive to this passion yield, when by his captive so he was inflamed, as now yourself in Cleopatra burn? Slept in her lap, her bosom kissed and kissed, with base unseemly service bought her love, spinning at distaff and with sinewy hand, winding on spindle's thread in maid's attire, his conquering club at rest on wall did hang, his bow unstringed he bent not as he used, upon his shafts the weaving spiders spun, and his hard cloak the fretting moths did pierce. The monsters free and fearless all the time, throughout the world the people did torment, and more increasing day by day, scorned his weak heart, become a mistress play.
Yes. Okay, so it becomes almost like choric, the way that we're sort of talking to each other, but we're not.
Yeah.
With that, the missing lines in the script as it currently stands. Anyway, I will now finish this off, as it's my place, so I can. In only this like Hercules am I. In this I prove me of his lineage right. In this himself his deeds I show in this naught else my ancestor he is. But go we. Die I must, and with brave end conclusion make of all foregoing harms. Die I must a noble death, a glorious death unto my succour call. I must efface the shame of time abused. I must adorn the wanton loves I used with some courageous act, that my last day by mine own hand my spots may wash away. Come, dear Lucille. Alas, why weep you thus? This mortal lot is common to us all. We must all die, each doth in homage owe unto that God that shared the realms below. Sigh no more. Alas, appease your woes, for by your grief my grief more eager grows. Stop crying. So, but that's manly grief, so it's fine.
Yes, at which point he's actually found the courage or the resolution to
Yes, he's going to top himself like, did Hercules top himself? I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't think there is. But,
so when you're saying only this, like Hercules, am I don't know. Did he actually in what he's talking only this, like Hercules? In what? Is it a gesture? Is there something? What is this?
An object without a subject.
Yeah. Because I was waiting for it in this, and this, and then it doesn't, because the die isn't connected. Unless I don't recall Hercules. We can look this up later.
Should we pause it at that point?
Yes. Well, we're going to stop anyway and take a break, and then go forward to the next bit. But while we're breaked, I'll have a quick look to see what happened to Hercules. That's slightly odd. That's basically we've done. The whole act.
Yeah, we've done a fair old chunk there.
Yeah, it's not a short scene.
Was that seriously an hour?
We've been doing this for 55 minutes. Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah. It flew by.
Time flies like knives.
And obviously we spoke in between, but it's still going to be a good chunky.
It's still 3/4.
It's going to be a 30 minute scene.
Yeah.
Edited down. So but
yes, I think you're right that Antony has got to be played at pace.
And Lucilius is trying to break that pace.
Well, I think.
It's all going to be dynamic. Some of it will be faster, some of it will be slower.
You've also got, I think, there a character point, which is that Mark Antony is impetuous, full of himself,
lost,
despairing, and basically on the edge.
Yeah.
Lucilius is the plodding soldier.
Yeah.
he's,
And that's the question. We should now find out who he is.
He's a damn good adjutant.
Yeah.
But he's not a leader. But I think...
No, his argument is fairly simplistic.
Yeah.
But that's fine, because he's there to counterpoint the nobility and greatness of Antony, presumably. Even though we're not, in our modern, cynical way, buying it. But anyway, that, I think, is enough. Let's take a break. And finally, back to Alan Scott with the chorus, following on in real time from reading the 3 previous chorus sections, so we may refer to last time.
The final chorus
of the Egyptians.
The end of Act 3.
Yes, so what's happened in Act 3?
Well, basically, Act 3 is a bit of a Roman scene. So it's the last appearance of Mark Antony.
Mm-hmm.
It's pre-suicide. I can't remember off the top of my head precisely what happens in it. But basically, it's the sort of closing in of forces and stuff, and bad things are coming.
So effectively, by that point, Cleopatra sent a message saying, "I'm dying, Egypt dying."
I'm assuming so, but I can't.
Which is what the call.
It must have happened at the beginning of the scene, because nobody enters. It's just the 2 people chatting. So I'm assuming that's the news. Because let me give you the sort of the last. It's basically despair and die is what he's saying at the end. So, but go we, die I must, and with brave end conclusion make of all foregoing harms. Die I must. I think he might die. I must a noble death, a glorious death unto my succour call. So I think it's fair to say Antony's planning on a suicide.
Yes.
So that's where we leave Act 3. With a very, very interesting verse structure.
And we're back to a 6-line stanza.
Well, yes, but with a different rhyming scheme. So, let's give it a crack.
Alas, with what tormenting fire us martyreth this blind desire to stay our life from flying. How ceaselessly our minds doth rack, how heavy lies upon our back this dastard fear of dying. Death rather healthful succour gives, death rather all mishaps relieves, that life upon us throweth, and ever us to death unclose the door whereby from cureless woes our weary soul outgoeth. What goddess else more mild than she to bury all our pain can be? What remedy more pleasing? Our pained hearts when dolour stings, and nothing rest or respite brings, what help have we more easing? Hope, which to us doth comfort give, and doth our fainting hearts revive, hath not such force in anguish. For promising a vain relief, she oft us fails in midst of grief, and helpless lets us languish. But death, who call on her at need, doth never with vain semblant feed, but when then sorrow paineth, so rid their souls of all distress, who heavy weight did them oppress, that not one grief remaineth. Who fearless and with courage bold can Acheron's face behold, which muddy water beareth, and crossing over in the way, is not amazed at Perruque grey, old rusty Charon weareth. Who void of dread can look upon the dreadful shades that roam alone on banks where sound no voices, whom with her firebrands and her snakes no whit afraid Alecto makes, nor triple barking noises. Who freely can himself dispose of that last hour which all must close, and leave this life at pleasure, this noble freedom more esteems, and in his heart more precious deems than crown and kingly treasure. The waves which Boreas blast turmoil, and cause with foaming fury boil, make not his heart to tremble, nor brutish broil, when with strong head a rebel people madly led against their lords assemble. Nor fearful face of tyrant wood, who breathes but threats and drinks but blood, no, nor the hand which thunder, the hand of Jove which thunder bears, and ribs of rock in sunder tears mountains' sides in sunder. nor bloody Mars' butchering hands, whose lightnings desert lay the lands, whom dusty clouds to cover, from of whose armour sunbeams fly, and under them make quaking lie the plains whereon they hover. Nor yet the cruel murthering blade, warm in the moisty bowels made of people pell-mell dying, in some great city put to sack, by savage tyrant brought to rack, at his cold mercy lying. How abject him, how base think I, who wanting courage cannot die, when need him thereto calleth, from whom the dagger drawn to kill, the cureless griefs that vex him still, for fear and faintness falleth.
I'm just going to pause us there because after quite a lengthy discourse on the variations of death, death, dying, dying and death, all the various areas of death, the possible deaths, the big deaths, the small deaths, the people being killed in people pell-mell, and then people wanting courage to kill themselves, we slowly move towards Antony killing himself.
Well, quite, yes.
And it's taken all that time to get there. Not some of that I really like. I'm thinking again with my modern day producer's hat of going, well, this kind of dialogue could almost be played almost underneath the previous scene, or it could be played underneath a dumb show of Antony going through the suicide stuff.
Shadow play.
That kind of thing where this can be given a visual component rather than simply just as some people standing on stage talking. I mean, because we never see Antony's death in this play. It gets reported in the next scene in a lengthy speech with reported speech. So there's part of me thinking, if I ever staged this would be the place to do it, so that actually the scene continues but silent, with the chorus around talking about death. And as we get to Antony talking about his death, the little bit, the last few stanzas, where we talk about his actual death, that might be a focal point for it, because this is infinitely cuttable. You can cut this pretty much anywhere.
I mean, one staging possibility would be, in fact, to have to almost do Antony's suicide in shadow play behind a
any kind of
behind a sheet while the chorus are doing this.
Well, I mean, I would just simply keep, they're on stage there. The chorus are technically on stage throughout, so they're around them. I would just change the lighting, have the chorus step forward, down light on their faces, kind of, or up light on them, while the Antony, everything is all done by
dumb show,
done in dumb show, almost in silhouette.
But that was the thought I was thinking. That
but I don't think we need to necessarily, create that additional architecture. I think we could just do that with lighting, and that might work. Because I see this as still being quite an intimate play. I don't see this being in a big space.
I don't think it needs to be overstaged.
No. I think you could do that quite simply. Or maybe not do it at all, I don't know. But I like the idea that the chorus has some more dynamic function than just saying some words.
Yeah.
Because it's a long speech, and I would trim it. I think the first opening stuff about death in general is quite good. I think it loses its thread a bit.
Yeah,
and then it pulls it back to some really quite unpleasant things, nor yet the cruel murdering blade, warm in the moisty bowels made of people pell-mell dying. And it gets to a sort of general sense of a looted city, so again we're returning to that theme of the Egyptians living through.
Watch out, Romans, your turn next, mate.
It's also coming for him. And it's an interesting question, with the Egyptians like Antony or not, of course, because to some degree he's the one who brings about their doom. Anyway, let us with these fun asides, let us return to the final intimation.
Yes, I mean this is
where Antony.
Yes. Oh, Antony, with thy dear mate, both in misfortunes fortunate, whose thoughts to death aspiring shall you protect from victor's rage, who on each side doth you engage to triumph.
I've got encage.
Yeah, encage.
Yeah,
sorry, that was my mispronunciation. O Antony, with thy dear mate, both in misfortunes fortunate, whose thoughts to death aspiring shall you protect from victor's rage, who on each side doth you encage to triumph much desiring. That Caesar may not you not offend, naught else but death can you defend, which his weak force derideth. And all in this round earth contained, powerless on them whom once enchained Avernus' prison hideth. Great Somatics ghost doth rest, not with infernal pain possessed, but in sweet fields detained, and old Amasis' soul likewise, and all our famous solemnize, and whilom honest reigned.
Okay, a couple of textual questions there. Have you just got great Samatics ghost doth raise? I've got where great Samatics ghost doth raise.
Yeah, that I'd mispronounce.
Yeah, you just went great. You didn't have a where.
I swallowed it probably slightly.
Also, Ptolemix, and all our famous Ptolemix.
Right.
Let's just go from where great Somatic.
Where great Somatics ghost doth rest, nor with infernal pain possessed, but in sweet fields detained, and old Amasis' soul likewise, and all our famous Ptolemies, that whilom honest reigned.
Is that a suggestion of that's to the monument where he's going to be buried? Is that what that's saying? Because we've gone into quite specific territory from O. Antony onwards.
It could be.
So is that a sort of premonition of the monument? Okay, so that's the end of the Egyptians. With some trims, I liked that. I thought that worked quite well. I think in staging terms it can work really well with some action. I'm a bit of a fan. Okay, that's good. And that was the text of Act 3 as part of our prep for the proper recording. There may be time to throw in your 3 cents if you have any thoughts about it, and we might change our approach for the final version. Or not. Send thoughts, suggestions, clarifications, and passive-aggressive abuse, either on our Patreon page by joining us or on Twitter at BeyondShakes, or you can email us at admin@beyondshakespeare.org.